great is it that the love of our God extends beyond every border. He walks alongside those forced from their homes and comforts those seeking refuge. Hi, I'm Aida. Together we've been traveling around the island of Lesvos in Greece, learning what it really means to love the stranger, to love as Jesus loved. Our partners at International Association for Refugees are supporting people physically, emotionally, and spiritually along one of the world's most dangerous routes for refugees. We've seen how God's hand is working in Lesbos. Now, we're going back to Canada to see how God is working through local churches to welcome refugees. For many refugees, Canada is a destination where they hope to settle and build a new life. But even when they arrive, the journey continues. Beyond there being no room for shelter and beyond the hunger and instability, past traumas weigh on them. Many are still separated from their families and far from home. But there is hope. There are incredible people who hope for community and opportunities to bless others as they rebuild their lives. We're here to listen and learn from their stories of resilience and hope. So I'm finally back here in Canada, and today we will get to see how the cycle of starting over for refugees is something that they're met with everywhere that they go to. Today we will get to talk to some friends at IAFR about the work that they're doing here in Canada. And also we will get to meet a friend who just a few years ago was at the camp in Lesvos. Raised in Afghanistan for most of his life, Reza found himself forced to flee to Iran. Despite being born in Iran, he was designated a refugee. And as a result, he was not permitted to attend school, and finding work to support himself was not accessible. Again, he was on the move, this time headed to Turkey. And then Greece.
It was very hard. I remember I had to walk 2 nights and 1 day to pass the mountains to get to Turkey. That was very tough because it was also cold and we were all hungry and thirsty. But we made it. And then we went to Istanbul. So because we had to talk to a smuggler to pay him and ask him how much it cost. He said, yeah, we are ready to go. And then we were like 14 people on the boat. So we also had a little bit of problem there because we made it not like to Greece, to the island, but like maybe halfway in the middle of the sea. And then the gas was finished.
Oh my gosh.
And then it was dark. So we were trying to, I don't know, what's it called, pedaling?
Yeah.
Yeah, to get to the Lesbos. And then suddenly we saw a big light on the boat, and then we saw International Coast Guard.
Okay.
And this is what they call. So, and then they took us to the Lesbos. Yes.
And so you got to Canada a year ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I missed my friends. I missed my friends in Greece and of course in Iran too. Yeah, I missed them a lot. But but I'm very happy that I'm in Canada.
Curious about the experiences and support available to refugees in Canada, I met with Helton and Laura, who serve with International Association for Refugees Canada.
Yeah, you know, there is a general feeling that refugees choose to come to Canada. Really, refugees only know where they're coming from, I should say, particularly refugee claimants. They don't know where they're going. They come here for one main thing, protection, a new home or a place to call home. So really, I think Canada is a place that eventually they get to, but they never choose to come to Canada.
So what does it look like for refugees when they arrive in Canada?
So when people come to Canada, they're often think that they're at the end of their journey, and that's not the reality for people when they land here. In essence, it's kind of like a board game of snakes and ladders where you get to this one spot and then you just slide right back down and you're at the bottom again and you have to start building your life from scratch. And oftentimes that's done without the deep, important webbing of community that you had to leave behind. And so you're doing it in isolation.
And what does the isolation or displacement look like?
A person who has come here has been displaced in a very several number of ways. For example, they have been displaced from the environment that they were very familiar with. They have also been displaced from the source of livelihood that they knew. They have been displaced from the social support system that they relied on as based in their culture or in their way of life. So these are soft displacement items that are very severe. They're traumatizing in themselves, even when there are a lot of opportunities. But you realize that opportunities are not enough unless a person is integrated in a very systemic way so that they can tap into those opportunities.
And if I could add on to that, I think having a sense of belonging is something that is so core to every single one of us. And I've heard many of my friends who have experienced that displacement say, when somebody invited me in for tea or they invited me over for dinner, that was when I knew or when I began to feel like I had belonging. And it's that radical hospitality that the church can offer that creates this belonging for people that is so core and important to the healing process, the trauma that Helton's referred to, that once you have that belonging, it really affirms you and gives you this confidence to be able to step out and do all the other really important but difficult things you need to do to reestablish yourself.
Do you feel a little settled now in Canada or not yet?
Yes, now it's a little bit better than a few months ago. What makes me very happy because I know I have a future here. I would like to finish my English because I'm not good at writing and reading, and then I would like to go to high school, get my 12th diploma, and then there's few jobs that I would like to do, but I didn't decide it. But yeah, I would like to get some more education. Yeah.
So how has your life changed to now being here?
Well, like I would say, of course, it changed a lot because I have the rights I have here. I didn't have in Iran. But here, like when you go to new places, it's hard in the beginning. So I met some friends, but not a lot. I met some friends there from different countries, like Colombia, Mexico,
Nice.
yeah, and Philippines. Yes.
Refugee claimants or asylum seekers, hope brings them here. But eventually, the process becomes very difficult. The system is very difficult to navigate. So the whole process of settling here, even if you have a good house, even if you've started working, you could lose all that if the protection that you came to seek does not, you don't get that granted to you. You could lose all that, and you would have to leave the country. So it's full of anxiety. That end reality of I could possibly be returned home is enough to really strike you down all through the process as you navigate it.
So with all these challenges, how does IAFR support the emotional, physical, and spiritual needs of refugees?
The primary way that we try to work is through the church. So the church is just uniquely gifted by God to be a community developer. And so we try to work through churches to support the work that churches do to welcome well. We have a housing model called Open Homes Hamilton, where a number of churches have come together and they work together where if there's an empty room in someone's house, they will be the host that provides that space. And Open Homes has trained up a whole suite of volunteers that does all of the other how to navigate the city, how to open a bank account, help your kids get into school, how to get you connected with good legal assistance and drafting up a good basis of claim so that the host can just do what they do best, which is provide that space. And it has been a really another beautiful model of radical hospitality that is primarily done by churches. We have some staff members that also do trauma care. And again, they do it in conjunction with faith-based refugee house. And we have a team that is supporting students who are coming into Canada from refugee camps to walk relationally with them and help support them with friendship and all of the sort of things that pop up as you settle into a new home.
Settling in Hamilton, Reza was connected to IAFR and Open Homes, so I was curious about how he felt about this welcoming experience.
When you move to the new places, of course, it's hard, to get used to the place, to find what you need, and this is the thing. It makes it a little bit difficult for refugees, because I know some of them they're struggling, but there's many people here in Canada, they help refugees. Like the people I met here, every time when I meet new people, they're very friendly. So this makes me very happy, and I think, this makes me more welcoming.
Yeah. Thanks, Reza.
Thank you.
I loved listening to your story. So I think you've gone through so much, and it's inspiring to hear what you want for your future and to be here. So
Thank you. Doing this, that means a lot. Helping other refugees.
as you think about the calling that God's given us to welcome the stranger, what's the hope you have for refugees?
It's everything that you would hope for and want and dream for your loved ones. You want your loved ones to become everything that God had already created you to be, to live in the fullness of that. And that flourishing is what we really hope and dream and pray for alongside our brothers and sisters when they come to Canada.
And I think that cycle of a person going through the thriving process, the flourishing process, and becoming helpers themselves.
It's this beautiful redemption that God does, and it's just energizing, inspiring, and exciting to be a part of that and to see what God does in and through the lives of people who have experienced that forcible displacement, become the ones who then themselves help rebuild and reintegrate other people's lives.
Over the past 3 episodes, we've listened and we've learned. There is nowhere in the world, no matter how desperate or challenging the situation, where God is not present. He is on the dangerous, deadly sea, even when tragedy strikes. He is on the roads with those who are running in search for safety. He is in forests with those who are hiding from harm. And he is in the tents where people have arrived in critical need. God is also at the graveside with those who are mourning. God is here, moving through his people. How is God inviting you to love the stranger? Creator God, we hear your call to love the stranger. Help us to hear your voice and give us the courage to respond.